Yo, 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 what's going on, people? How we doing today? Good afternoon, good evening. How's it going? Yo, George, Flanders, Sean, Gulam, Mullah, Gulam, 50, Simon. Look at all these members showing up nice and early. Thank you very much. How we doing today? If you thought he was the GOAT, wouldn't start for Stoke. Viva Garnacho. Out of pocket. I can't do the Garnacho songs on here, man. Not allowed. Yuck, yuck. But how are we today, my friends? Getting Alvaro money. Getting Alvaro money. Sorry. Yeah. We're good. We're good. Hi, everybody. Sorry. Zia, Danny, Morton, 2, Caleb, Renson, Shreyas, Hush, Mancunian, Kev, Suvik, Sharon, Sir Bossman, Moomin, Alex, Jacob, Mariana, Osama, Renson, Martin, Sir, M, Daniel, Paul, Spud, Howell, Double, Greg, Renson, Shannon, Smokey, Howler, Jacob, Phil Smith, Music, Dark Heist, Rasmus, let's go, Zorro. Welcome to the Pro Muppet. Gabe, Ziad again. From Paris, Stuart, Anonymous Mango, the Bearded Wonder, Hushy Love. Can't read that name. Sorry, my dude. Naveen, Elizar, Kasim, Mad Redberry. Holy, there's a lot of people here. Yo, Nico. Where's Sammy? Sammy, where are you? Sammy, where are you? I needed to add you as a moderator too. Max, Mike Fergus. Anyway, thank you guys all for being here. Thank you so much to the members and everybody as a part of it. While you're getting in here, make sure to destroy the like button, smash your face into the keyboard, into the mouse, bash it, buy a new monitor, just slam that like button, get it at least up to 100 plus in the middle. Yeah, it's yeah, I don't know, Zorro. I need to check if I did I mess something up. Should it not redo the memberships automatically? I thought they all do memberships automatically, but a lot of people have been telling me that their memberships have run out and I need to figure out what's going on with that. Those memberships should be recycling for you if you wanted to join so you don't have to remember to keep doing it. Um Maybe that's my fault. I don't know. Uh it should. I don't even think I have any way of changing the settings on that. So it's not my fault. It's your fault. But anyway, thank you all for being here. Appreciate you all. It wasn't automatic since it was gifted. Ah. Yeah. Okay, that might be it. It's if it's gifted, you might think you intended to buy it, but you got it as a gift and then you went forward. So yeah, there's a few things to talk about. There's a few things. You're just here trying to get a gifted membership. We'll see. We'll see if Jonathan Hammond is at a PC today. I'm not gonna beg him for memberships. Please. I need to feed my family. No, but I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I appreciate all of you. Anytime anyone gives me money, that is unbelievable. Thank you very much for that. Um, but yes, so obviously quite a lot going on in the world of United. It is never quiet. It never stops. Um, I did 2 videos this morning. I know. The work never stops. We never stop doing it. Thank you, Stuart. Stuart, you've given more than anybody, by the way. I appreciate you, buddy. You're here all the time. Don't. That is not me telling you to give more. You do not need to do that. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for being here. But we've done a lot. We've done a lot today. So the first video this morning I put was obviously about amortization and sales. And I wanted to answer any questions. Rush Menu, I forgot about you. That's probably 50 from you. Always, man. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. Thank you. Um, Brilliant stuff. But yes, I wanted to yes, thank you all. And I wanted to answer any questions on the sales and amortization so that I can explain anything on there and kind of give you the multiple phases of things. Gabe, I'm not sure. I don't always connect the dots between the names because there's so many people, but Yeah, if there's any questions on that, let me know so I can answer them at the start here, because I wanted to make that clear. We're getting Alvaro money. Right. So there was some poor aggregation, I think, on the Alvaro Fernandes deal from a report from the Daily Mail. The thing about it is that we'll talk about Gyökeres. There's a couple little things I think we can talk about there worth mentioning. But on the Alvaro deal, this is how the money works, okay? It is not 5 million. It is not 5 million, okay? It is above 5 million, we get a percentage of the profit. So let's say a deal comes in for 40 million, we're going to get a percentage of 35 million, okay? We're getting a percentage of 35 million, all right? So not 5, a percentage of 35. And it is at least, I think, 25 to percent. Nobody seems to have the exact specifics, but we believe it's closer to 40%, 30 to 40% of it. So, if it's 40 million to Madrid, we're going to get 35 million, whatever. And then of that, we'll get, if it's 30%, it's like 11 million. If it's 40%, it's like 14, 15 million. If it's 50%, it's 17. We don't know the exact number, but it's believed to be somewhere in there. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, that's what we think. Spill the beans on Paul Mitchell. I don't know why Paul Mitchell left so quickly, but I sincerely wonder, is it going to get the same amount of scrutiny that Dan Ashworth leaving United got? Fabrizio said 40%. That's what I'm going off of, because that was the best info I saw from way back in the day as well, that nobody's killed. I've always been operating on the 40% number, 40% of profit. So we do the math. If it goes for 42 minus 5, that's 37 times 0.4. That's 14.8 million. So yeah, you think a lot. Yeah, I mean, surely the media are going to do a full inquest into Newcastle hiring a sporting director, paying him a lot of money, and then kicking him out within a year. Surely, right before their summer window, which is surely going to lead them into disarray. Imagine if we lost our sporting director right before the summer window, what the narrative would be. Chaos, panic, everything's on fire. Now, that being said, we've had a real shit season and they've made it into Champions League. So there's context, but it doesn't matter. We wouldn't have, we wouldn't have seen all of this in the first place. I mean, they fought super hard to keep Dan Ashworth, and then they fought super hard to go get Paul Mitchell, and then they kicked him out too. Like, well, what's going on there? The uncle-nephew relationship causing problems with the second sporting director. I don't know. There's only one United. Unfortunately, though, the team that isn't United and is not the one we call United might be leading the race for Dilap and Mbeumo. So that's a challenge for us. That's a challenge for us. That's a little embarrassing. We got to know our place to a degree. But regardless, yes, if there's any questions about seriously, if there's any questions about the amortization and all of that and the sales, please do let me know, because I want to make sure I answer. It's important and meaningful, because it gives a lot of context behind what we have to do to sell, and how how we can do things. And speaking of that, and Cunha, I think it's really important to understand the way that these installments and things work. What we're talking about is Cunha payments, right? It has nothing to do with PSR, okay? The difference is just cash. That's all. It's just PSR doesn't matter. PSR is going to be stretched over the 5 years, no matter how we pay it, how we do it, how we put it together, any of that. It does nothing for PSR. It does nothing. Don't think of our budgets that way. I want to make this very clear, because I know this gets confusing, because this stuff gets brought up in the media because it's United and nobody else seems to do it. Look, with Cunha, 60 million, 62.5 million, right? So whether we pay it all at once, whether we pay it over 3 payments, 4 payments, 5 payments, zero effect on PSR. Okay? I want to make that really clear. Zero effect on PSR. King Ragnar, I need Mbeumo news. I know. But zero effect on PSR. I'll try to get to talking about that and see if there's anything I can shed some light on. But again, no effect on PSR. It only affects our cash flow. It has nothing to do with PSR. Is cash flow an issue? Maybe, but that's less known. And as far as I know, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. We have the budget, we have money saved, we have a credit line, and I also believe that there's hopefully, well, there's work being done to attempt to get more money into the club via the owners, but that could take some time. That could take some time. And nobody knows 100% what it'll get done. Daniel, thanks for being here. I'm good. Hope you are as well. So yeah, sales will help us. But it's important to note that some of the selling we might do will likely just give us space where we may not want to spend every single cent of it, but as well, save some to hedge our bets, in case we are losing money in the future. That is important. The payoff to Rashi, it's not calculated, Naveen, so it's a negotiation. So one of the things I wanted to leave, because I did see a couple comments about this that I wanted to explain, because I talked a lot about wage payoffs in there. You don't always have to have wage payoffs. I don't mean that. Not you, Sammy Ball. I was looking for Sammy Ball. You don't always have to have wage payoffs. However, in many instances it's normal. Okay, in many instances you do have wage payoffs because we pay higher wages than everybody else. More often than not. But it's not an exact number. It's not an exact thing. It's not everything. It is simply it's a negotiation. It's a negotiation, right? So there's no hard, fast rule for wage payoffs. I just estimate the worst case scenario, which is we're going to have to pay off all the missing wages that somebody might get in terms of a big contract going to a smaller contract. Okay. So I try to overestimate because, I try to overestimate on that basis. Just because I like to minimize. I don't want to BS and say we're going to have an enormous amount of money. Now, when it says there's an article here from Wheeler during the Cunha finished deal, which, by the way, on Cunha, I mean, we've been talking about this, and it was funny because I was sitting in the Patreon chat when David Ornstein and them posted their initial thing today about United approaching Wolves and hoping to pay over 5 years and yada yada, and I said what I said the last few weeks is because the deal was okay. The deal was okay. It was all fine. I want to explain how this often works. Jonathan Hammond, does Zirk, Cunha, and Mbeumo cook? I think it does personally. But here's how it works, and here's how this deal went down, okay? United worked via the agent, and 9 times out of 10 on these deals, the majority of everything is done with the agent, right? From start to finish. So when we agreed all of those terms a couple weeks ago and set everything up and put it together, it's not like we didn't know or didn't address this point in terms of the installments. We knew the exact details of the installments. We told the representative, the agent, we were willing to do that. That's where all terms agreed. It was a done deal when Fabrizio said it on Sunday. And there's nothing to worry about there. All right. It was a done deal. Everything was good at that point. That's why Fabrizio, when it came out, just said, forget about it. He's absolutely correct. But what happens is United, they agree all of that, and then they say, okay, well, cool. But what do you think? You think the club would accept a little bit of a more flexible arrangement? And the agent goes, you could try. I mean, essentially, I'm obviously making up in the way a conversation goes, but how it generally does. And the agent will go, you could try, you can ask. And then you go over there. And I said, as soon as the report came out, I said, look, this is Wolves. This is Wolves' side. Why? Well, look where the reports were coming from. Percy in the Midlands Reporter. You know what was going on here. Wolves were just wanted to appear a little bit strong, get their clicks in. United, big bad United coming to try and bully us, and and United, and that's fine. That's a part of the game. That's a part of the news cycle. That's a part of how it goes. And all United do is say, hey, we want Cunha. We know that there's this thing. Would you guys be willing to take it over 5? What about over 4? What if we pay you a little bit more when we do it over 4? And they go, nah. We don't want to negotiate. Let's just get it done. And United say, okay. All in one swoop. They were already intending to do it. They'd already agreed to do it. They were always going to do it. It was not a problem since day one. It's one of the main reasons they even pursued this deal in the first place. It was like, it's a release clause that you can pay in 3 payments already is already an amazing deal. So there was nothing ever to worry about here. The deal has been settled. There was no jumping the gun on the here we go from Mr. Romano. Big respect to Fabrizio. He has been absolutely on top of things this summer. And since the end of last summer, really, as well. Do you think we paid a fair price for Cunha? Yes, I really, really do, Robinator. I really, really do, because he is one of the best forwards in the Premier League, Prem proven. Incredible player, prime age, perfect age, no big deal. There you are, Sammy. Didn't Cunha say he was contacted 2 months ago about us being very interested? Yes. Basically, yes. I mean, I think it was when did I make the tens video? I think I made the tens video in February, and I think it was in I'm gonna go back because I just want to talk about this really, really quickly. It's not about tooting my own horn, but well, I do like tooting. Wait, hold on. I was about to. Anyway, no, but from what I recall, it was in January in the first case, maybe December, that we first heard a little bit that United were kind of looking at it because Cunha was trying to get out and that there might be something there. In fact, I think on a video I said that's what it was, around January. I remember I did a video and I said, as far as I heard, in the new in the new deal that they made, he also had a relegation release clause that was around 45 million. And as far as I knew, United were keeping a strong eye on it, but we couldn't afford him in January. But I think the clause is actually lower if they had ended up relegated. I think it was about 45 million. That's what I was hearing at that time. And I remember saying it in a video and saying that it was one to keep an eye on because, at that time it looked like they might be relegated and all of that. And we definitely would have triggered it in that case, 100%. So, yeah, this is a deal long time in the making. United have really liked Cunha for quite a while and pretty much identified him as one of their best targets to get. One of maybe the best target, and that's why they got it done first, the number one target available. It is over 3 payments, 2 years. So like now, July 1, 2026, July 1, 2027. Sorry, I'm all backwards looking at myself. So it's 2 years, but it's at the beginning, after 12 months, and after 24 months. 3 payments, 2 years. So yeah, very exciting, very, very exciting times. The highest scoring, Brazilian in Premier League history. Can you believe that? In a single season. Crazy. So that's really good. Why Cunha over Mbeumo? Because Cunha is much more, he's just the right fit. And then, beyond Cunha, beyond Cunha, obviously we want more signings. I did a second video summarizing the big thread that I put. He's getting number 10 and all that. Yeah, that I put on all the decisions that we're making, all the purchases, all of the direction that we're going. And the goal is Cunha, striker, Mbeumo, or alternative midfielder, goalkeeper, 5. Those are the 5 signings we are hoping to make at this point in time. Okay. So yeah, that's what we want. Like I said yesterday, this is the situation with Liam Dilap. We are among the 4 clubs who believe we have a basic outline of an agreement for Dilap and expect a decision this week. As far as I know, there hasn't been any final communication to indicate a direction of where he'd be going, but earlier discussions led some clubs to believe Champions League would help their case. Now, when you are seeing these reports, I've seen some today, right? Saying, is a midfield not more priority? No, not really, Stuart. And I'll kind of explain why in a second. When you see these reports of Dilap to Chelsea, as much as I would like it to be totally solid that these are true, I firmly believe, based on the information that I've heard, that is not on the basis of new communications, but on the basis of prior discussions that they had. Now, I sat here 2 months ago, I think, and said that I thought he might go to Chelsea based on what we were hearing, that Chelsea themselves have genuinely felt pretty confident on it. But I do not believe that there's been any new communication. We think we've presented a good project, a good situation for him, a good setup, but it's not, and Chelsea are looking at others, but Chelsea are insane. I mean, they just buy players left and right. So I don't know that any of the reports today saying he's for sure going to Chelsea have merit beyond the basics. But yeah, I see some questions. I see some questions that I want to explain on this amortization and budget thing. All right. And look, this is the issue with as United fans, the fact that we have to become like we have to become like accountants and understand the finances to get this. Forget it. Look, when I say we have a budget, forget amortization, forget payments, forget any of that, okay? Because everything is getting amortized over 5 years, okay? When we have a budget of 100 million, we have a budget of 20 million. You understand what I mean? For purchases. Forget the amortization. We have 100 million. Realistically, we now have like 120 with the Alvaro deal, 115, 120, 125 in that range, like we talked about. We're spending 60 on Cunha. We have probably 60 left. So this is where 50 to 60 left. So this is where I believe, if the Alvaro deal goes through as expected, that we have enough to get Dilap or Gyökeres or Mbeumo without further sales. We could get something done. It might be a little bit of a stretch, but we'll feel we can at least make up the difference pretty easily if we're short a little bit of time. Contract extensions do affect amortization, so that makes it. I didn't cover that in my video because it doesn't particularly matter for the context of what we're doing. But let's say you buy a player for 100 million And then after 3 years, that means there's 40 million left. 20, there's 40 left. Let's say at that point they extend their contract. You stretch that 40 over another few years for the life of the contract. So they say extend it and they get to five years. That 40 gets stretched to over 5 years. So now it's costing you 8 million a year. So extending contracts actually can reduce your amortization, because that in that case it went from 20 million a year for the next 2 years to 8 million a year over the next 5. So you're stretching it out when you extend a contract, and that sometimes gives you more spending space. It was actually one of the things we did in with like Maguire and such, where we extended his contract, clicked the +1, and then it actually reduced his amortization, helped us afford Dorgu in January by doing just like little things like that. It's kind of it's nuts. But when we're talking about when we're talking about budgets, forget all of that. Forget it. Forget the amortization. When I say budget, just don't worry about it. I'm trying to make it simple. The amortization is just when you start talking about sales, you really have to start thinking about amortization. When you think about purchases and budget, forget it. Just think about the budget. We're trying to keep it really simple on that front. So yes, Liam Delap, that is the situation as of now. I saw that thing this morning, but it did to me appear a bit like an opinion from Michelle. I mean, I don't know. It felt like a bit of an opinion. Is Twitter down again? I swear 90% of the time I click on it, half the recent tweets don't load. And then I don't know what I'm doing. When was that? Everything, all this good chances, but it now depends on him. That's what he said. Okay. I see a reply from him, good chances, but it now depends on him. So point being, like, it's an unusual one because, like, yeah, generally speaking, you agree terms with the player, you agree terms with the club, and it's all done. He's yours. But it's like, we're waiting for Liam Delap to say, I'm taking my talents to, Merseyside, or I'm taking my talents to West London, or I'm taking my talents to the East Beach, to East Beach, England, the warm shores of Newcastle on Tyne, right? Like, I don't know. I probably got that all Tyneside. I don't know. I don't know England geography. Sorry for that. We're waiting for the decision to be made, in that respect. So we are Michael Scott and you are, yeah, exactly. It's like, forget it. You got a lemonade stand. You have $5 to buy lemonade. Don't worry about anything else. All right. So there it is on that. So so the next thing, yes, we could talk about Mbeumo here. You can just tell James is a hip hop guy. I mean, I've gone through all phases of everything, but LeBron Delap, yeah, exactly, yeah, LeBron James, LeBron Delap. But yeah, we talk about Mbeumo. This is what I said. This is the situation. We've made contact with the camp of Mbeumo. We maintain a concrete interest in the player, but sources have indicated to me there's work to be done to convince him, given the club's position and other competition with Champions League to offer. We very likely need sales for this because we have the budget set to go towards a striker. However, should we, there's my terrible joke, strike out, this could be a deal we push for. Alternatives for the role are and have been looked at. So point being, we have money for a striker, but if we don't get a striker, we want to get another forward. The reason we want forwards before the midfielders is that who are our forwards? Højlund, who can't score, who's probably leaving. Mason Mount, who hasn't been healthy in ages and also can't score goals. Ahmad, who's probably better at wing back. Bruno, who may be here, may not. We'll talk about that. Maybe in the midfield. and Xerxes, who also doesn't score goals. We do not have any goal scorers in this team. Now compare that to how much, for example, Rashford, Greenwood, Martial carried us during, the seasons under Solskjaer just because they could score goals. You know what I mean? That's important. That's big. And we see Ahmad is probably our most pure, like, find the net type of player who's just going to get a goal from time to time, no matter what. Dwayne, forget Dilap and get the African two-step at Brentford. I mean, I agree. Wait, let me poll you guys now. This is I meant to ask this yesterday. I meant to ask you guys this yesterday. Like Cunha said, if you get United back to the top, you're a living legend. I agree. You got to have that crazy. If you had to choose one, what would you do here? Dilap, or go and then you can run like Bruno and stuff at the 10? Or do you guys think getting Mbeumo with Xerxes at the 9 with Cunha on the other side is a better team? I think everybody's, and that's crazy. Like, have I brainwashed you guys that hard on Dilap being mid, or like, or do people actually like not rate Dilap as little as I rate Dilap? Okay, like, do people not have? Are people leveling out on the hype on Dilap here? Because Mbeumo, I think, is just a significantly better player, right? Like, is that the issue? Dilap is just not popular. Mm. It's not just me, right? Like, it isn't just me, right? Brainwashed here. You just don't rate him. Like, I think he's a lot better than Højlund. I'm not. I go over the top a little bit on Dilap at times, because I think one of the reasons I go over the top on Dilap is because like, usually people who want Dilap say like Gyökeres is awful, and it just blows my mind, and it forces such a snap response in me to like be like, are you nuts? Like, like, I can get that people really like Dilap, but but to say like Gyökeres is a much better player today. I don't even think there's a slight argument to be said. And I got to tell you what worries me a lot about Dilap. And when I think about all these strikers who've gotten a lot of hype after like one little good season because of their technicals, their fundamentals, their things like that. But we'll probably get him. So I don't want to like we have a good chance at him. So I don't want to sit here like harassing him. It's because it's not like that. And he could do really well, and he could develop really well. So like, that's cool. But like, look at Evan Ferguson. He was getting hype all over Twitter 2 years ago. People were telling you to spend 100 fucking million on Evan Ferguson 2 years ago. Maybe it was 3. I don't remember. I remember. Remember Armando Broja? He just left Everton as a free agent, didn't he, or something? 4 total shots in his like career at Everton. And people a few years ago were saying, this is the one, that's the guy. Like, how many times have we seen that? Where these strikers get hyped and then they just don't go anywhere. Like, there's been a lot of guys who've come in and done one decent season, and then that's it. And then nothing else after that. And that worries me. That does worry me. I mean, I don't think I'm crazy for saying that. Like, I don't think I'm crazy for having some concerns, about that. But Dilap is a good player for 30 million, right? Like, Dilap's a good player for 30 million. But the idea that he's like guaranteed going to like reach this super high ceiling isn't true. But he is good. He is good for 30 million. But I think people are really banking on the fact that he's going to become great, and I don't know. I don't know. I don't know about that. But 30 million is good for potential. But but like you kind of need maybe more than just him. Like that's a risk. Like the risk is not the cost. But but when people say low risk, I'll tell you where I disagree. It's not low risk because what could it cost you? What could it cost you? 30 million isn't a huge risk for him, right? But the risk is if it doesn't work and you miss out on Europe because you still have a crappy striker or one that isn't good enough yet, you could lose 80 million in a season like we just did. So that's why I don't really buy the risk, because there's two different risk factors here. There's individual risk, like Dilap for 30 million is probably decent, but if he doesn't come along and bang and you lose out on Europe, that could cost you 40, 60, 80 million in one season. That's a risk. That's to me where the risk comes in, the risk on the club, the risk on our achievements. You know what I mean? Like imagine you look at the final we just played in. We lost 80 million in one game. At the end of the day, you risk a lot more not winning. You know what I mean? Like there's more money to be made by being successful than there is getting bargains. That's why I think Cunha is such a good deal. That's why I think Mbeumo is such a good deal if we can get it done. Because it's like they pay for themselves in the table. They pay for themselves by getting you up the table. Right? Yeah, sure. Counterpoint, you have more money and to spend elsewhere, no doubt about that. But the position is so important, striker. Like it's so important to me. Like in my opinion, it's so important. It's the same why I say we need to buy a goalkeeper, like no matter what, because I think that there's no position more impactful on the pitch than your number 9 when it comes to winning and losing for most teams. You know what I mean? That's how I feel. That's how I look at it. That's the direction of travel for me. So that's just my opinion though. When I look at risk, when I look at reward, when I look at things like that, it's like, imagine you could get, like, that's even my argument for Osimhen. Well, how much can you gain from getting Osimhen in? Look at what he does everywhere he goes. If you make 40 more million a year because he can help carry you into Champions League spots, well, haven't you covered it in one season? The cost, the additional wages over that 5-year contract. Like this is where Moneyball falls down, right? This is where Moneyball falls down a little bit. This is where Moneyball gets a little bit crazy. Like in American sports, you don't need to perform to make money, if you know what I'm saying. So it works well in American sports. It can work to a degree in England because you can take low wages, and you can get a good return. But there's so much money to be made by getting into Champions League. I didn't realize how big it was with the changes that they've made. But it is so much money getting into Champions League that you really should be going all out for it. I still don't agree we should have got someone in January because I don't think there was anybody decent available. And that could have screwed us over on being able to get Cunha and others ahead of time. Yeah, it could be the opposite what happened with Villa. I hear you. I hear you. But it still got them in the business. Like they wouldn't have been in the discussion without spending that money, right? It wouldn't have even been in the conversation. And then you look at like the teams that made it, they spent buckets and buckets and buckets of money to get into it. I mean, the club, like, look, at the end of the day, the fact of the matter is the teams that have made it into Champions League spent the most money. True? Liverpool, Arsenal, City, Chelsea, Newcastle. I would bet you, aside of United, those are the 5 teams that have spent the most money in recent years. Maybe Villa did it in one season and they were close. Money still wins at the end of the day. The more money you spend, the higher you should get up in the table. But anyway, that's why we've done this poll. It seems like the most of you agree with me. It's the same point. I would rather get the goals from Mbeumo, and all of that. Forrest took a points deduction, yeah. Yeah, that is funny though. But yeah, Cunha's taking the 9. Rashford will take Cunha's taking the 10, so Rashford can take the 9, right? That's what's happening. What did I want to do next? What do I want to do next? Where was I? So yeah, Mbeumo, we're trying, but we're still waiting on Dilap, and I'm kind of confused what we're still waiting for. I'm kind of confused what we're still waiting for. Like, it was like, oh, well, the season has to be over, and then they were relegated, and then it was like, all right, well, the real season, the full season has to be over, and then it's over, and it's like, what's going on, man? What's going on? Yeah, well, I'll go piece by piece down here just to keep my brain intact. I do need to go get my that was a joke, by the way, on Rashford. I do need to go get my kombucha. My stomach's a little funky today. Thai food, man. Thai food will do that to you. Delap has to pick his cap. Yeah, I know. Nobody really knows where Gyökeres is going, but I'll talk about that in a second, at least as far as we have heard. From at least from Portugal. I mean, at least from Portugal. You know what I mean? Like, Portugal is Portugal. And there's some news out there, and we have somebody who here who always helps me with like reports from Portugal and things like that. So I'll talk about that in a second. The keeper front is interesting. The keeper situation remains very much open, very much in play. I don't know exactly what's going to happen here, but it is going to be hard to sell Onana. And he may not be sold at all. Not sure if it's pure copium, but the fact Gyökeres doesn't appear to have said no yet, I feel like we might see an Ineos madness. I hear you, Tom. Now, what went under the radar, we'll get to that. We'll get to that in a second. Let's get to that in a second. But yeah, the keeper situation in play by India returning to Turkey is really possible. We've seen we have a lot of solid links. We know Lamens and Vanya are 2 targets. There's a lot. Lamens was one of the ones we were talking about months and months and months ago now. Totally different types of players, but different ages, like as a prospect and a more established one. But yeah, we're going to have to see what happens here. They're both expected to be fairly affordable, but we're still going to need to move a keeper on. It seems like Garcia is not, I know we've looked at Garcia, but we haven't seemed to be going on, we haven't seemed to be moving on it at all. And it seems like maybe there's somebody else who's leading the race. Onana's still a popular figure at United because he's still liked by coaching staff, even though he's not necessarily trusted by coaching staff. Look, there's a difference. Let's talk about Garnacho for a second. Being essentially kicked out. What were the words that Ruben Amorim said? What did they mean? You better pray a club buys you. Now, some might take that to mean, well, if you want your move, you better hope someone pays the price. But that's not what he meant. What he meant was, you better pray someone pays the price the club have set for you, because you ain't playing for me again, basically. Like, essentially that's the way you got to think about it. Um, you know, so yeah, that's an interesting one, but yeah, there was worse than that said, but that's okay. We let it be with at least that. It's more than enough. Um, but yeah, um, there's people that Ruben likes as people, as personalities, as things like that, versus their playing on it. Um, and sometimes that they're not necessarily trusted. But look, when we talked about keepers months and months ago, what I said was they want competition for the number one. Um, they don't want to spend a ton of money on a keeper. They don't want to use the budget up. They want to get competition for the number one, because it's going to be hard to sell Onana anyway. It just is. It's going to be tough to sell him. Um, but I'm convinced that we'll get a keeper. I'm convinced that we will get a keeper. Um, oh yeah, there was worse. There was worse than that, but it's all good. Um, and then again, and then the striker, the additional striker. And just bear in mind that Ruben Amorim obviously did that with the full backing of the board. You know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes it's worth the financial loss to set an example. They seem to respond to it on the pitch, so we'll see if they respond to it over the course of the season and next. Um, you know, sometimes it's worth it. I mean, he had that meeting. He joined the executives in Monaco, which is funny because the last year when they had that meeting, they sacked Ten Hag without him being present, and then they went back on it in that meeting. And instead, this year at that meeting, Amorim was like, I'm coming with. they left they left they left Ten Hag in England for that meeting last year, that we broke, by the way. This year this year this year Amorim was like, I'm coming with you. I'm gonna be in that meeting. I want to know what the hell we're doing, and I want to be part of it, and this is what I want to do. And then came back and sacked Garnacho. So I just find it to be a funny. Um, I find it to be funny on that respect. That amuses me a little bit. Um, the way that these things go. Um, but yeah, on on the striker, um, Gyökeres and Mateta remain strong options at striker, more expensive but more ready. In the case of Gyökeres, if we got in Champions League, would likely have put us in the driver's seat. As it remains, we're interested. The player expect to discuss with interested parties soon. Bruno Bamba? It says Bruno Fernandes. Ooh, big source. Big Saudi source, according to the Saudi guys we have in our Patreon chat, that say Bruno Fernandes is close to joining Al Hilal Club. Okay. This is according to the guys. I can't attest to Saudi sources. You guys know that. I don't know the Saudi side sources, but let me pull the link up. And according to the Saudi guys in our chat, I hope they don't mind me calling them the Saudi guys. It's just one of them's name is literally Saudi guy. so I don't think he'll be offended if I say that. His name is literally Saudi guy. So he's been always kind of keeping us up on the news for Saudi. Um, and he says this is a reliable source from Saudi side, and it says trustworthy. Bruno Fernandes is very close to moving to Al Hilal Club from Angelardo. I don't know. English. Apparently, this is a reliable source. I can't attest to that myself. So just please, nobody aggregate me on this. This is not me saying this. I was just going to talk about Bruno. All that I know is it's been being considered. But the Saudi guys in our chat say this is a reliable source. I have no idea how to judge Saudi sources. Okay, I'm washing my hands of it. I don't want any responsibility for this right now. Okay, but this is what is being said and apparently reliable. But listen, you got to bear in mind something, because I was just talking about this. I was going to mention it's a little bit weird that Bruno, after being given 72 hours, today is given another 72 hours. And it makes me think, I was saying yesterday, we were sitting there going, how does this all work with Mbeumo? Okay, how does this all work? How does everything happen with this? They just gave him, he has 15 million followers. Are you serious? Yeah, well, things changed I know. It's terrifying because this, he doesn't have 15 million. He's got 176,000 followers though. Unless it's somebody else. Because I don't know how these things are all put together. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I mean, 176 is still a lot of followers, obviously, but 176,000, I mean. But yeah, like, the fact that they gave us another 72 hours, he obviously didn't say no. You know what I mean? He obviously didn't say no yet if they were continuing to give him time. But I don't know, man. Here, I'll put it back on the screen. One sec for you guys. Poll who should be captain. That's an issue. Cunha. Yeah, the reason everybody's rushing is the Club World Cup, right? Because Al Hilal are in the Club World Cup, right? No, but Ben Jacobs and Wheeler and them literally said this morning that that he was given another 72 hours and that the offer was still there. Maguire, yeah, Maguire's the obvious captain, yeah, for sure. Maguire is the obvious captain. Yeah, I mean, look, 3 weeks ago, it was like, here's what I think has happened here, right? Because I know for quite certain that like 2-3 weeks ago, when there was talk over Bruno leaving, everybody was like, nah, not happening, not going. He's not going anywhere. It's not going to happen. He's not going to leave. Nothing's happening. He doesn't want to. He wants to stay at United. But what happened? Sometimes when what's in front of you is, hey, we're still in Europe, we're winning. Look at how positive they were in the pre-match before that final. Laughing, joking, worried me a little bit because I said I want people to be killers. I don't want them laughing or joking. I want them to be killers. I don't know. Just me personally, I don't like laughing and joking. When it's like, not because people can't be loose, but I want killers, man. But then we lost. And now you're faced with the reality, the cold, hard reality, the disappointment of losing another trophy, the disappointment of what's actually going to happen next season. And everybody's brain kind of like, wait, theoretically, I wanted to stay and build this thing. But now, I may not want to build this thing. This may be a bit of a bigger project than I have just undertaken. You know, that's the thing. That's concerning to me. you know, and now I think that that's why we have to think about this a little bit. Look, when we polled this the other day, most people said sell. It's not a Detroit tattoo. It is a D though. Most people said sell, and then yeah, they are trying to get Inzaghi. That is correct. They are trying to get Inzaghi, Bruno, and Osimhen. Yes. When I polled it the other day, most people said sell because what it can give you. None of your business. That's what. D stands for. Never mind. Do not ask. Stuart, if he goes, I'd be like to go Gyökeres, yes or no, then move on to something else, also get a number one keeper. Yeah, I would go spend the money on Mbeumo, a striker, a goalkeeper, and a midfielder. But I think assuming that you can get a midfielder anyway, I think what Stuart's saying there is like assuming then you have the budget for you know, a midfielder anyway. Gyökeres, Cunha, and Mbeumo as a front three. Oof. Oof. Bruno's final gift. That would be pretty crazy. I know people are saying wait for more credible sources. I hear you. I hear you. But like sometimes people downplaying some of these Saudi ones is they're not credible just because they're not English, you know what I'm saying? Like a lot of times in recent years you get something breaking from a foreign source and then the English guys confirm it later. So like I wouldn't like I'm only saying that because I know the guys there talking Saudi side talking about who's reliable there have had a good track record when they've been telling me what's real, what isn't. That's yeah. Mm. Goodbye, my lover. Goodbye, my friend. You have been a one. You have been a one for me. Goodbye, my lover. Anyway, um, so we'll see. I mean, this is very very big. No, it's not misaggregation. It's on a video somewhere. Some people have already kind of shared it. Um, it's hard. The Bruno thing is like a the, the, the you guys you watch The Office? I mean, it's pretty much it's the U.S. Office. It's pretty much, you know. Do you remember the scene where Michael's playing that on his little phone, the little on repeat, like the ringtone of or the free preview? Anyway, whatever. You don't get the reference. You don't get the reference. Okay. Watch more TV. Spend more time. You guys spend enough time sitting here on streams. You guys should all know these references by now. Um, but anyway, I mean, that's the exact voice used in that scene too. Yeah, when he broke up with Carol, exactly. I've just wondered, man. I'm just wondering. Let me check it out, Robo. I'll check it out for you as soon as I'm done with this. If you can send me a message, a DM directly so I don't forget, please do that. No, I know that's his wife in real life. Yeah, it's pretty funny. Um, no, but look, I mean, shit. Um, it's crazy. I'm so distracted as to where we were with this because this was like the transformational bomba if he gets sold. You know what I mean? Like this was the thing that's like we don't know. I don't know. I don't know, man. Where the hell were we? What else did I want to talk about? Seriously. Um, touch my heart, touch my soul. Yeah. um. um. Where was I? Oh fuck. I don't know what this means. I don't know what this means. Like what happens if we do this? You know what I mean? Um. Oh, Yokarish. Yes. So the guy who is there's two things that are important of note. Um, which is number one. Um, number one that Fabrizio was saying is said in his video. He kind of mentioned again Yokarish, right? Now in out of Portugal, so far the reports are the guy who kind of helps tells me kind of what they're reporting there. They're saying that their guy says they have no offers on the table for Yokarish right now. So nobody has made an offer for him as of yet for Yokarish. But there was a report about Arsenal or something too. But again, you know, it feels like everybody's literally sitting here saying, what the fuck is Dilap doing? And it's holding up the market. And until this doesn't happen, until we know what happens with Dilap, we're all a little bit stuck because everybody's like, "Oh yeah, this is a good value transfer." This kind of blows my mind a little bit though. Like that the fact that everybody's kind of waiting for Liam Delap is very very strange. Um it's very very strange, you know. It's just it's very strange to me and I don't know like what happens now. Um cuz like we're all waiting like we're literally all waiting for Liam Delap in order to move on to Yokerish and see what happens. Not even to move on, it's just like we have a standing offer for Liam Delap. We've agreed the fee, we've agreed the personal terms, it's all set. It's like a simple deal. So, you know, it's an easy, good value deal if it gets done. And you know, if he accepts us and turns to us. Now, there were two reports today saying that he was going to Chelsea. Is that but like I said, I'm not sure that there's anything actually new on that. Um, Bruno's not going to change who we want to sign. You understand that, though? Like, one thing to make very, very clear, selling Bruno is very not very. Yeah, I did speak about the Bruno deal. The Bruno's a potential sale of Bruno is not probably going to change who we target. But remember, I've spoken about how, like, you go through all the steps of the plan to fix the whole squad. Well, what does that encompass? It means left 10, striker, right 10, midfielder, goalkeeper, center back, another midfielder, central center back to like replace Maguire in the future. So like if you put it all together, it may allow us to move further through our plans than we were before. So, yes, I know Wharton. So, like, maybe it allows us to, let's say we get Dilap and then we sell Bruno, let's say, and that means we can get Mbeumo. Well, if we don't get Mbeumo, we might go for Dibbling. We might go for Mastan Tuonu. We might go for Antoine Semenyo. Then we probably would go for Ederson. Then if we make more sales, we would still have more money. We might be able to go for that deep midfielder. Maybe we do go for an Adam Wharton or similar. You know what I mean? So I do not know how much knock-on effect this would have, but I'll tell you what is certain. If we sold Bruno, they're not going to sit on the money and say, well, we'll just be cautious with this. Maybe save it to hedge our bets against the future, because they will know we have to replace that performance. Dwayne, Gyökeres for 65 million is a deal. Dilap holding up the line. Yeah, agreed. Dibbling is off to Newcastle. Who said that? Yeah, I mean, we certainly need enough. Yeah, sure. Look, but I think the crazy part about this is like, um, you know, Mbeumo. I've been questioning everything since we really pushed for Mbeumo. I got to tell you, man. Like I've been questioning absolutely everything since that point in time, because like, um, hold on. I have been questioning everything. Where the hell is this? What was that thing I was looking for? Because I've specifically been wondering like, how does this all how does this all work, man? How does this all play out? You know, putting this all together. And you look at like Brian Mbeumo, and he's fifth in chance creation, and he plays in Bruno's position essentially. It's kind of mind blowing. It's kind of mind blowing. Um, hmm. So here, I'm just some people who speak the language in a group chat that I'm in, telling me, not telling me, but just talking about it and saying what he said. The reporter on Bruno said they were asking him who's closest to joining, and he said Inzaghi is closest, Osimhen is closest, Bruno is closest. Someone messaged me and said, unless that's you, Hamza, says that he's is tier 1 for Al Hilal, but it is a very reliable reporter. So like that's the thing. Like 99% of Saudi stuff is wrong, but this is a very reliable reporter. So like them saying anything at all has is mean. On it is mean. Like let's put it this way, okay? We don't know the answers here, but like imagine that Ornstein said, Mbeumo is closest to joining United. Like, what player's closest to joining United? He said Mbeumo is closest to joining. How would you feel about that? Would you think that means something? Would you think we're going to get him? Probably, right? So that's how I'm thinking about it on the alternative. Like, we can split hairs on the words, but if a journalist said that for us, I'd be like, holy shit. Right. So that's kind of how I'm thinking about it and why it means something, or if Simon Stone or Fabrizio or somebody said something like that, for us, then you'd be thinking, I mean, hell, yeah, it's just, it means he's not turned him down, right? That's for sure. He's not turned him down and they believe he's at least considering it. Yeah. Well, yeah, they all are close to joining though. That's the thing. Like they may get all three of them. They genuinely might. 100 not enough. Yeah, I mean, can we negotiate a little more money? Could we negotiate a little more money maybe? Or does that It is a little generic, but you got to bear in mind it's like, I don't know. It all depends. It all depends. It's not saying that there's an agreement. That's the point. Like, just bear that in mind. It's not saying agreement, but like, anyway. Um, so yeah, I mean, don't know, man. Check. There's another source that says it's close in Saudi. Hold on. It's really close, only waiting for his approval on the presented offer. Again, like, that's fine, but like, don't people tend to do this thing with these reports, like Salah was on the verge of joining. Not really though. It's the same guy said Inzaghi's going there, but he's not. He might be. He might be. No, but my point is like, look, people 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 do this with transfers, like they try to knock it out. Of course there's no, guys, listen to me for a second. No, like you don't, you guys got to like just pause. Don't go to the extremes on this, right? No. It's not even at all like that. It's not like that. Like, just relax. Just relax, okay? Just relax. Here's the point. If he accepted the offer, it would be done. So it would be over. You understand that? If he accepts the personal terms, it's over. You understand that? He's gone. It's not close. It's done at that point in time. It's done. Okay? The point being, they've made a big, significant offer. He's thinking about it. And they feel that they have a good chance. That's where it's at. It's literally close to us and Dilap here, okay? It's literally almost the same thing in reverse with us and Liam Dilap, barring that there's no release clause and shit. If Dilap chooses us, he's coming. But you wouldn't say it's far off because of that, because you have a chance. He hasn't not told us no. He's not turned us down. He hasn't done that. It's kind of the same thing in the reverse. So don't play it down. Don't go crazy with it. It's kind of like the other day I said, in that Mbeumo thing, that somebody would like that we would have some work to convince him he might prefer somebody else, and people started replying like, so that Mbeumo's turned us down. Mbeumo doesn't want to join United. Mbeumo hates United. Mbeumo said, fuck Manchester United. Like it doesn't go that way. You got to balance, okay? It's like it's in the balance, man. He's obviously considering it, or he would have said no. And the best sources on that side feel he is at least feel, based on what they're saying, that he's considering it. And that's, we just leave it at that. Until we know, until he says no, like, we're gonna have to start leaning towards this thing potentially happening. You know what I mean? Like, until he says no, we're just gonna have to wait. We don't know. We don't react one way or another. I was going to talk about it anyway, because the point is, when they've given him another 72 hours, obviously there's a potential that this happens. Right. We couldn't agree a fee with Everton is very different. We would probably take the fee in this case, because it's really up to Bruno. You know what I mean? So it's a little bit different in that respect. Like, and look, if he didn't want to join, and if he wasn't considering it, he would say no by now. But it continues to start to be here, lurking, and it's unsettled. It's like a reverse Dilap here. There's an offer on the table that's probably acceptable. There's for us, all of that, and then we just wait. And we just have to wait and see, man. Like, I don't know what to say. Regardless of even this report, what I was going to say is the fact that he hasn't turned them down, and we're still waiting 72 hours, another 72 hours to go. Then, like, what are we doing, man? Like, obviously there's something in this. We can't just keep saying it's nothing. Maybe is he baiting out maybe an offer from somewhere else in Europe? We don't know on that either. That is also possible. So a reverse Dilap, that sounds, So I don't know what to say. I really, really don't. We're all waiting. We're all waiting for Bruno, and of course, at the same time, he's off on a Malaysian tour with United, and there's a game tomorrow, and he's doing events and all sorts of shit. You know what I mean? So it's like, look, if someone offered me 200 million, you'd need to give it. No, I wouldn't. I would not need to give it any thought. I'd say yes. It doesn't matter. you offer me 200 million, I say yes. Happily, immediately yes. Immediately yes. Okay, I will build a compound for 200 million and stay indoors all day, no matter where in the world you need me to be. Antarctica, Alaska, doesn't matter. Anybody offers me 200 million, I'm going, and I'm just gonna, bunker up no matter where. And stay inside and do what I always do. Give me the 200 million. United admin, we regret to inform fans we have agreed a fee with Arab money. That is funny. I saw Jesus Christ. Um, I don't drink much anyway. That's fine for me. I would respect that. I would respect the rules. I don't drink. I could give up drinking for 200 million. Trust me. RSV, hello. What are your thoughts on the Ren striker? Who's that? Ren striker? The one we bought? No, that wasn't. Who? To all of you who are happy Bruno might leave because you think he's bad, you deserve United relegation. Alfred. I think that the people who believe that Bruno is bad is a very, very tiny percentage compared to the people who may be looking at it and saying, but he is 31. We do need to rebuild, and it may be worth selling him. I don't know anything about that player. I genuinely have not a single clue. I apologize. I just do not know. I like Dwayne. United should be planning a year or two on this Bruno situation. This offer been here for years. Bruno been saying if the club wants me gone, I'm gone. The club is like, we don't want that, but we need the money. Yeah, and the thing is I don't know, man. Like, listen, like if your girlfriend goes to you and says, well, if you don't want me here, then I'll leave. Does she mean that, or does she mean she wants to leave? You know what I mean? Like, or, is she thinking about it? Because probably. I mean, when people start saying those kinds of things, it's not totally honest. It's not like nobody sits there and goes, if you want me to go, I'll go, if they haven't been thinking about going. Little secret for you. If you're with someone and they're telling you they're thinking about, they'll leave if you want them to, then I promise you they've already been thinking about it. Like, let's be real here. Like, things you learn about people. Okay. If an employee walks in and says, if you guys want to fire me, I'll leave. Well, they want to quit, you know? Um, People leave a lot of clues to their thoughts on things like that when they say stuff like that. So, it's on him. No, it's on him. I gave up alcohol 10 years ago. It's great. I giving up alcohol is easy. It's not a horrible analogy. It's the truth, man. It's the truth. I mean, it's maybe a painful analogy, but it's the truth. Does the same hold true for Amorim? Yeah. We don't have to doubt it. The man's thought about leaving. He said it. That's a great example of that. But then towards the end of the season, he said, I'm not leaving. I'm far from quitting. I don't want to go anywhere. But he left plenty of hints that he did want to leave or was considering it. And he at least thought about it. He didn't really offer it, but he did think about it. It's been confirmed by good sources at certain points that he at least had those doubts, he at least had those doubts, about it. So, yeah, that's a good example. He let it slip a few times as to his thoughts. You know what I mean? He obviously had those thoughts. He's obviously thought about it. But towards the end, he changed his mind, right? Towards the last week or two, he said, after the West Ham game, he was like thinking about it. But then he hunkered down and said, no, I'm going to fix this here. I'm going to fix this and I'm going to be successful. The good times are coming. I'm in, all of that. Tubby, boss, if Bruno goes for 100 mil, can we only spend 100 mil or can we spend more? You could spend more. And also any Mazda news, hope you're well. We could spend more. We could probably spend like 200. I don't know that we will because you want to spend smart, but we can spend more. Again, I would base it on like you could spend like safely you spend about 2.5 times what you sell in profit. You can do, but we may want to save some of that to be smart so that we have future windows, right? Masta, if we don't get Mbeumo and we have money to blow, then I would definitely still consider that we will make another push for him, especially if Bruno goes, because Mastantuono is kind of a bit of like the right future replacement for Bruno. That I think at that point you have to look at that and say, maybe we need to push really, really hard on that. Maybe we should push really hard on that. Um, yeah. I saw that quote from Jose, which is nice. Backing his boy. What percentage chance do you give Mbeumo? What is going on? Yeah, so it seems like, the Saudi source is saying it's just up in the air. So forget about it for a minute. Like that he doesn't particularly know anything new. That's fine. Forget about it. Either way, base it on what we were going to talk about originally on this, which was we were kind of getting to Bruno anyway, which was this point about 72 more hours. But are we able to adequately replace Bruno's output? That's another level compared to Dibbling, Dilap and Mbeumo, low salaries and no Champions League. It's not really another level, though. Mbeumo has a higher output than Bruno. If you spread it around as well, then, Is it worth waking up at 6 to watch that game tomorrow? I don't know, but I will be there. I will be there, Dwayne. I will be there. I will be there. Look, the thing is that there's always ways to spread it around. There's always ways to spread it around if you replace properly, but it's an unknown. Yeah, the Club World Cup is coming. That's why that is correct. That is correct. That is correct. I don't know what Bruno is thinking at this point. I mean, I'm not a mind reader, but he's quite obviously considering something. He's obviously considering something. You know what I mean? He's considering something. Otherwise, we guys should just turn it down and say it's over. Hello, James. You said that all the teams are waiting for Delap's decision, but Arsenal are not for Delap and still have not. Right. So that way means they want Sheshko. Yes. Yeah. So that's why Gyökeres is like this odd situation where he could fall into our lap. Yeah. The game is on MUTV tomorrow. Yeah. You didn't say anything about agreement. Look, guys, if Saudi have an agreement with Bruno, then it's over. You understand that? That's what I'm saying. Like, it's over if they have an agreement. I guess the thing I'm trying to I get at where I stand on Bruno's situation is that, like, he's gonna be gone some point. You know what I mean? Like, he's going to be gone, whether it's now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now. Bruno is not gonna be the Bruno we have. So, like, you know, we could panic. Like, again, by the time we are consistently a good team, will Bruno be in the team? It's not a fault of his. Will he be the same guy, or will we need to be building around him, around other players and beyond him? And the thing is if we are building for the future, we already have to be thinking about it, about how we build in for the future. Well, if Bruno is not the future, but he is the present, we still have to do that. We still have to do that. And I think that's why it's under consideration. I think that's why it's under consideration, is because it's just, it's just potential. Angie, bench strength worries me. We literally don't have a starter level pivot players, Brian Gertie. We need to get 2 midfielders. I agree. The one thing I say that is confusing to me as well is like, if we're getting Mbeumo, well, then how are we going to fit him in with Bruno and everybody? I still don't know. But let's keep going on my thread here. I want to talk about these guys briefly, so I can get through this. Otherwise, this live will never end. Which I appreciate all of you very much. Make sure while you're here to smash the like button. We're like three to 400. Let's do 500-600 at least before we're out. Maybe, I don't think I've ever hit 1,000, but I would appreciate you guys if you did do that. I appreciate it very much. Alternatives for the third forward and the right 10 following the signing of Cunha include Tyler Dibbling and Franco Mastantuono, both difficult deals. Dibbling, the price quoted was really high, but United still really like him. They're very interested. They always have been. Same goes for Franco Mastantuono. Really interested, really like him, but going to be difficult to convince him with other clubs chasing him. He's not 18 until August. He may stay till next year. There's talk of that. They would have to do a job to convince him. No doubt about that. There are other options that we've spoken about, Nene Dorgelis, other ones. As I was saying last night, I didn't have anything to suggest that we would move for Ryan Cherky, and it seems like he's going to City, or at least they're interested in him now. We also expected that it would be like 40 million or something. Dwayne, one thing I hate about today's game is you can talk to the player and go over the club and make them wait. Not just footy anymore, it's money game. Yeah, it does get pretty crazy. These players are both really, really good. I know that there's a lot of, you talk about Tyler Dibbling, people go really back and forth about it. But he's really highly admired. So is Mastantuono and all of that as well. And then there's like Ezzy, as options that's obviously been discussed. There's a lot of alternatives that we could go for in these kinds of positions too, and they're all being followed. The other one is Antoine Semenyo. The move for Mbeumo is obviously more active. Semenyo, to me, don't think it'll happen because the listed price is so expensive. 70 million or something crazy like that. That's a lot. That's a lot of money for a player with not elite output. He's got a lot of good things to him. He's kind of like a better Garnacho, better, more physical Garnacho. Not super efficient, but high volume, a better dribbler, more physical, good at a lot more things. You could probably throw him at wing back in this system and he would be good, but man, is that expensive. And so, I have not heard much on it, probably because the price, it just makes it super, super high. Then obviously we wanted to get a midfielder. We intended to sign an athletic, physically robust midfielder in a market, but it is up in the air. Obviously, Bruno is a consideration. What he does, where he goes, what happens with all that could seriously affect this. I don't know about that source, but if they've agreed to a deal for Tyler Dibbling, then surely they're not going to be getting Mbeumo as well. Don't know. But yeah, I mean, we wanted a midfielder here. Ederson is one we've been tracking a long time as more of the forward attacking 8. Top player. I think that him in there with a 6 is basically the exact blueprint for the Amorim midfield. We've been following him. The original understanding I had is we would be looking at him. Because that was the main missing ingredient in the team. That very, very, that ground eating, physical, athletic, attacking 8. They really, really like him. So that was my original understanding, that he'd be the ideal fit and target for them, but depends on how we move everything around and how we purchase in the forward line, if that all changes, or if they've changed their ideas on who who they want to get, what kind of profile that we need in the midfield for this team. Wharton is obviously one the club have really, really liked, that a lot of clubs do, but he's going to be absurdly expensive. If we sell Bruno, do we start looking to that? Maybe, but I'm not sure. We've seen links to guys like Anton Stack and stuff too as more affordable 6s. So yeah, the original understanding would be leaning towards Ederson. Liverpool really wanted him in the past. It was behind. He was like second on our list a couple of times. But so let's see what happens here, okay? Let's see here. But we do want a midfielder, and I think I would still have Ederson at the top of our list, likelihood wise. But shit, things might change, man. There's just nothing. There's no links of any kind to Balaba. Um, so yeah, we'll see. But again, different positions, okay? Um, different positions. Ederson is not in the same position as Balaba, as these guys. So if they're looking at that attacking 8, they're not. Then we shouldn't be talking about Balaba. It's just whatever they're focused on. They were focused on that attacking 8 before. Obviously, it also depends on the midfield, on who departs. If Casemiro leaves, then we need another 6. If Kabi, where does Kabi fit? If we buy forwards and Bruno moves deep, does that change how we're buying a midfielder? We really don't know. A lot of complicated, things here with that. And that's really why we want to get the forwards done first, and then we will look to address the midfield, because it could seriously have a knock-on effect. So could departures. If Bruno goes, if Casemiro goes, these are massive implications on what we do in the midfield. Did you know we were top 3 in the passes made in the PL? I believe it. We were a pretty solid possession team. But, there's some interesting things, that the way people view our team versus the reality, or versus, I guess, how they view um, the reason we were bad. So yeah, those are the main things. Obviously, we're like waiting in the next day or two for the Dilap news for by Thursday, certainly from Dilap and Bruno. The big knock-on effects here on what happens next, but we're also pushing on Mbeumo and all of that. Okay, so that's where we're at, my dudes. Crazy times. It's crazy times. It really is. Bruno de Saudi's picking up via so-called trust resource. We kind of just talked about it, Jason, but the truth is everyone's thinking about it. That's where we're at. Everybody's thinking about it. Everybody's got to think about it. Until they turn it down, then we got to think about it. We don't know, man. Like, I don't know. At some point, someone's got to say it's not happening, or it still has a chance. I mean, 72 hours of to turn it down, and then 72 hours later we got another 72 hours. So crazy. Yeah, the silence, to me, the silence is every moment you have silence, you start to wonder. I know this isn't a straight analogy, but imagine we'll go back to the relationship analogy, and imagine that, like, you got a wife, and or you got a girlfriend, let's say, and somebody's like asking her out. What would you expect? What would you think if she doesn't immediately turn him down? Give me 72 hours to answer. What would you feel about your relationship at that point in time? If she's saying, just give me a little more time. Give me a little more time to think about it. You would ask him to take Casimir. Like, I want the immediately no, or I'm going to have doubts. I mean, So that's where I'm at. I've got doubts. Okay. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for watching. Near enough 4 o'clock here. I'll be back in the morning, for the watch along, 6 a.m. or something like that. I appreciate you all for being here. Throw some likes on the way out. Um, you know, thank you for all the members. Thank you for all the Patreons. Thank you for all of that. I really appreciate you. You waffled a whole pizza down while enjoying the waffle sesh. Awesome, 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 awesome. Thank you very much, everybody. I appreciate you all. Join a membership. Join a Patreon. Keep subscribing. Hit the like button on your way out. And I thank you, and I will see you tomorrow. I'll be for the watch along, and then we will also obviously do some video lives, what have you. Make sure to check out the other videos and things as well if you haven't been able to keep up with the long lives. I know it's a different system. It's a different format doing these long lives. Some people like it, some people don't. That's why I try to make the smaller focused videos and things for other people too. But sometimes it's it's just shit to do. So I'll see you all later. Have a good evening. Enjoy the rest of your night. Get some sleep. See you all tomorrow. Okay. Have a good one. Goodbye.